Good morning, everyone. We're going to just do some practice problems for the 11.7 notes. By the end of class today, you should be able to calculate the volume, surface area, or dimension of a sphere, and or composite solid. So calculate the surface area of a hemisphere. Keeping in mind, hemisphere means we're only going to be talking about half of our sphere. And then surface area, we have the equation 4 pi r squared. Okay, in the equation, that means that we need to know what our radius is. We are given 12 inches as the diameter, okay, of the sphere. So that means if 12 inches is my diameter, I'm going to go ahead and divide that by 2 to get my radius. So my radius is going to be 6 inches. Now that I know my radius, I can go ahead and plug it into my equation for surface area. So we have 4 times pi times 6 squared, and that's going to give me 4 times pi times 36, and that's going to give me 36 times 4 is 144 pi. Now, if that wanted my exact answer, remember I'd keep it in terms of pi, but we're only talking about half of the sphere. This is for the complete sphere. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this and divide it by 2. And that's going to give me 72 pi inches squared because we're talking about surface area. If I wanted the approximate answer, I'd go ahead and plug that into my calculator, and that would give me approximately 226.19 inches squared. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear screen. As always, in the notes, the solution's there. Go ahead and calculate the surface area. Sorry, that should say of the sphere, not hemisphere. So you want to know the surface area given that you're given that the circumference of the basketball is 29.5 inches. Okay, so keeping in mind that, again, for surface area, the equation is 4 times pi r squared. This means in order to solve this equation, we need to know what our radius is. We're not given the radius straight out from the problem, but we are given the circumference. And if we remember, for equation for circumference, we can get that by multiplying 2 pi r. So since I know what my circumference is, it's 29.5, I can just go ahead and do some algebra and solve for my radius. So I want to isolate r. That means I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 2 pi. Divide by 2 pi. Divide by 2 pi. My 2 pi's cancel each other out on my right-hand side. And when I take the 29.5 divided by 2 pi, I get a radius of about 4.695. I just took it out 3 spaces because I'm trying to really minimize the amount of numbers that I take away by using rounding so that my final answer is as exact as possible. And now that I know what my radius is, I can go ahead and use that information to solve for the surface area. So 4 times pi times 4.695 squared. I'm going to go ahead and square that 4.695, and that's going to give me 22.04. I'm going to multiply 4 and 22.04. That's going to give me 88.16 pi. And then when I go ahead and plug that into my calculator, that is going to give me approximately 276.19 96 inches squared. Okay, and that was calculating the surface area. As always, the steps are there for you to reference later. Now go ahead and calculate the volume of the basketball. All right, so basically same first step still as the last problem, right? In order again to calculate volume, volume is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. I still need to know my radius. Same thing from the last problem. I know my circumference is 29.05 because I didn't change the image. And that's equal to 2 pi r. Divide both sides by 2 pi. And I end up that the radius is approximately 4.695. Okay. So given that that is the radius, now I can go ahead and plug that into my equation. Volume is equal to 4/3. And then we have pi. My radius is 4.695. Cubed. Okay. Plugging in those values, volume is equal to 4/3 pi, and then 4.695 cubed is going to give approximately 103.49. So that's going to give me that my volume is equal to 413.96 divided by 3. So all I did there was multiply the 4 and the 103.49 divided by 3 pi. And that means that the volume is going to give me 433.50 inches cubed. Make sure you're really careful with your units because remember we're talking about volume, so your final answer should be units cubed. And there you go. Those are your 3 examples for today.